So Donald Trump, in a pretty random tweet, decided to rip defense contractors, and I have to admit, the fallout was awesome. So here's what he said. The F-35 program and cost is out of control. Billions of dollars can and will be saved on military and other purchases after January 20th. So Mediaite explains what happened here. They say, in early trading, Lockheed Martin saw a 4% drop in its share price. By the end of the day, the company had recovered somewhat, but not all the way, finishing down nearly 2.5% and 6.42 per share. According to CNBC, the initial market value hit of the tweet was roughly $4 billion. Oh, that is awesome. That's the best thing I've ever heard. Okay, so this is another one of those tests as to whether or not you're a partisan hack bitch or if you're actually, a good liberal. Because just because it's Trump doesn't mean everything he's ever done is bad, doesn't mean, by definition he's wrong. So when he randomly decides to take a shot at defense contractors, which I would have never expected from him, but he randomly decided to do it, okay. And the effects are Lockheed Martin stock plummets. By the way, Boeing stock also went down. He tweeted against Boeing a while back, like they had an Air Force One deal, and he said it cost too much money, so he's going to cancel the deal. Their stock tanked too. The saddest thing I've ever seen is liberals going out there, and all of a sudden, oh, we're bleeding heart liberals, and we care so much about Boeing and Lockheed Martin's stock price. I got news for you. That ain't liberal, bitch. Because if Bernie Sanders was president, and Bernie Sanders said, we're going to cancel the Air Force One order, it's too expensive, and we don't need it, liberals would be like, oh, yes, yes. Oh, and the stock price got hit too. Oh my God, let me masturbate. And they would have been right to respond like that. You'd be right to be happy about this. The F-35 program is a fucking national disgrace. We've spent over $1 trillion, for fuck's sake. Over $1 trillion on a plane that at one point, I kid you not, did not even fly. And the idea that we needed a new generation of the F-35 because the old one wasn't cutting it. Right, because the Air Force that ISIS has is so high-tech. No, it's just a giant fucking welfare program for defense contractors. That's all it is. That's all it is. It's our government being bought by defense contractors, so they keep giving them contracts even when we don't fucking need the shit anymore, and we're filled to the brim with machines of war. I mean, we have how many thousands of tanks just sitting in the desert in Nevada? I mean, and we're all, build more tanks for us? We'd really appreciate that. We need more tanks, we need more fighter jets, we need more drones, we need everything. But you don't need everything. We already spend more on military than the next 8 countries combined. And most of them are our goddamn allies. So we have that. Over 50% of our discretionary budget is military spending. The first place you cut should be military, and the first people who should feel the pain is fucking Lockheed Martin and Boeing. So Trump, randomly, because he's a loose cannon sometimes, tweeted against them, and their stock price tanked. Good! I'm fucking happy about that. Now, let me be clear. The wild card angle of what he's doing, yes, it can be very, very questionable and at times very dangerous and bad. Because if you have him tweeting against, innocent people who didn't do anything wrong, which as he's done before, and then they suffer consequences, well, that's a problem. You could argue a lot of his anti-Muslim rhetoric, for example, has led to that spike in anti-Muslim attacks since he's gotten elected. There were over 900 hate incidents, within a few weeks of him getting elected. So yeah, his loose cannon, off-the-cuff, nonsense talk sometimes can be bad and dangerous. But forgive me if I don't shed a tear if he randomly happens to hit a good target with that nonsense talk. And if the target is fucking Boeing, if the target is Lockheed Martin, tweet all day, son. Tank that goddamn stock. These motherfuckers are a problem. The first place I would cut if I was president is contracts to Lockheed Martin and Boeing, who've been biggest welfare queens imaginable. They've been looting the treasury since their inception. So, yeah, I like this. I like this a lot. So this is one area where I'm going to give credit to Donald Trump. Please, tweet against Lockheed Martin all day long. If that's all you do as president and you do nothing else, I will call you a good president at the end of 4 years. Fuck Lockheed Martin. Fuck them with $1 trillion demon dicks from hell.